For more on the attacks in Denmark and the country's efforts to fight terrorism, I spoke with Ambassador Peter Taksoe-Jensen. He's the Danish ambassador to the United States.
There is a balance that you need to strike. You cannot just turn Copenhagen or Denmark into a police state and a police city where you have police on every corner, because that would sort of be giving up the values and the democracy that we've been fighting for. So it's really a balance that you need to strike, and every time there's a new threat, you need to think, can we do something to adjust to this new threat? I don't think you can ever guard yourself against a lone wolf attack like the one we saw in Copenhagen in the weekend, but you can try to limit the risks and limit the damage when it happens.
How much pressure will there be within society there in your country, and how do you resist that pressure?
I think we watch sort of the pendulum swing towards more security, less privacy and things like that, and swing back again. And I think we have struck the right balance in Denmark. I don't expect sort of a big pressure on government to do more, because everybody realizes that you will not be able to protect yourself 100% against things like what you just saw now. But you can look into whether the police and our security forces have sufficient resources, and then strengthen international cooperation in the EU and with the United States as well to learn more about planning and so forth, so that you will be even more alert if something should happen.
Those folks returning from the war zone to your country, there's been some who say that perhaps the Danes have been too easy on them, to provide psychological counseling, don't try and track them down and put them in jail or anything like that. Do you think there'll be a shift in that approach at all?
This is something we'll have to look further into. How do you deal with this? Government just passed possibilities to actually hinder people to travel to Syria and Iraq by having their passports held back. We have tried an approach where we try to have a program in some cities where we know there's a specific problem in Denmark, where instead of just having the security services watch people, then try to engage them and see if you can, so to speak, de-radicalize them again and reintegrate them into the Danish society. If you want to fight the scores of terrorism, you also need to have a very long-term strategy. I don't think we can do away or get away from this threat tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, and we need to have a very, very broad approach to address it.
I've been to Sweden. Not that you can say one's that similar to the other, but they are kind of regionally similar. And I remember having a discussion, this was a few years back, that, there's too many Muslims coming here, and then then you'd hear from others, there's too many skinheads here, and there's this dynamic. There's like kind of this broad spectrum on this end and this end. Is that too much of an oversimplification?
It is a challenge for the Swedish society, for the Danish society as well, that we have a lot of immigrants coming, and the challenge is to integrate them into societies that have been there for many, many hundreds of years with traditions and so forth, and try to cope with that. And I think in Denmark that has been a challenge too. We have seen immigration rising over the last 20 years, and that has put pressure on our welfare state and pressure on our willingness to receive people who are in trouble from around the world. We need to continue working on how to integrate these people so they become an asset to our society.